Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good
We'd love
morning.
to see some faces.
No, I can't show my face today.
All right. Let's see. Everybody in. Vicky, I think you're here twice. How is everybody this morning?
Blessed and highly favored.
There you go, Katie Douglas.
Let me see if I
Blessed
can
and
get
highly favored, doing good.
All right. So as people continue to join, I'll let them in. Welcome to Mastery Monday. We sat down, Katie Douglas, who is the education chair guru. Isn't that what we decided to call you, the guru? Vicky and myself, after doing the survey for like what everybody wants to see on the training calendar, and the major thing we were hearing was listings. And then we know he who controls the listings controls the market. So we're going to completely focus March on all things listing. And we're going to be very cohesive in our approach into everything we have on the training calendar. We're going to make sure that there is something included that you can use for listings. And you know what? Let me share this into our Facebook group, because why not? And go there as well, because we really want to make sure we are mastering listings truly. Let me make sure I don't share it in public. Okay. So each Monday of this month, we're going to be focused on a different topic, including lead generation, how to do a comparative market analysis, how to do your listing presentation, some scripts to use, some prospecting, farming tools to utilize. And so that's what it's going to be about. We're going to take about 30 minutes on Mondays, and we appreciate you guys joining us. I'm going to let Katie take it away from here. She's going to be leading us today about lead generating for listings.
Okay, thank you to y'all being on the call, and mindset is a lot of it. So just by you showing up is says that you're in it to win it, and that's where we all want to be. As Katie said, we're going to talk about working with your sphere of influence. There's a couple of things that you need to do in order to get ready to make your calls. The first thing you need to do is you need to figure out who you're going to call. So we're going to focus this part on your sphere of influence, or your SOI. So those are people you have met, you like you want to do business with, and you hopefully would know something about them. If you know something about them, it's good to incorporate those specifics into the conversation. Hey Katie, how are Rob and Christian doing? How's working from home? Anything that you know about them. So you need to decide who you're going to call. You need to decide that you're going to put it on your schedule. You need to figure out how many people you're going to call and when you're actually going to make your calls. Then you need to figure out what scripts you're going to use, what's going to be the conversation around these calls, so that you know that you're having a conversation that is of validity for the person that you're speaking with. The other thing is that you need to, when you're talking about what you're going to say in these conversations, you might want to do some script practice. That can be with somebody else. That can be just reading over them. And then the other thing is, and it's also important to do your affirmations. I'm coming from a place of care and concern. These people want me, they need me, I'm the expert. And if y'all have any affirmations that you want to share that you use when you're gearing up to make calls that are going to be of validity for your clients, I'd love to hear what those are, because we all have our own affirmations, and sometimes things resonate with people that may or may not have heard them before. So does anybody have an affirmation that they like to use before they pick up the phone and call?
I've heard, even something like, I am a rock star listing agent and I'm the best fit to meet my clients' needs. And so, I mean, just something simple like that to give yourself that boost of confidence and affirm what you're doing.
Yeah. And then the other thing is don't let that drunk monkey get in the back of your mind, because some of these people that you're contacting, it will be a while since you've had conversations with them. And so you want to start the conversation out with, hey, Katie, it's glad to get you on the phone. I'm only going to take a few minutes of your time. And then, go right into whatever you're going to say after that. And it's important to let them know that you're not going to keep them on the phone for a long time, because they're probably in their mind thinking, okay, like, why is she calling me? Is something wrong? Like, what do you want? Those types of things. So it's always good to let them know that you're not going to keep them on the phone for long. The other thing is if you call somebody that you had a great relationship with, and you know them socially, whatever the case is, if they go into a conversation, just carry the conversation on a little longer than you want to, then you can always say, hey, Katie, it was great talking to you, but right now I've kind of, I'm on my way to another appointment, or I've got other phone. When's a good time for me to call you back? Because I'm really interested in what you have to say and I want to listen. However, what's a good time for me to call you back so that you don't get derailed? And I think a lot of times if you say that you're not going to keep them long, then they know that, okay, that means in their mind, they're hearing you say, you don't have 15 minutes to talk. So you need to get your list together of who will you call. And I pulled this out from my bowl today and I can email it to y'all. But basically what it has on there is it has the number of contacts that you want on there, and it has a place for your names. Did you ask for an appointment? Did they make an appointment? Did you ask for a referral? Did they get a referral? And did you follow up? Okay. This is not an end all be all. In Command, if you put people in your contacts, you can add notes in there as to what they said. If Homer just lost his job or he's looking for another job, you can make notes about that. So Command is a great place. The most important thing is that you need to make sure that you're tracking who you're calling and try to get as much information as you can when you make the phone call. And it could be as simple as you're calling them and you just say, hey, Katie, I was just calling because I haven't talked to you in a while. And I just wanted to find out how you and the family are doing. And, she'll say whatever. And then if they say, yeah, it's been a really tough year and the kids are going crazy and, this and that, validate it. And then if there's a way that you can work real estate in there. So Katie, is that, would a home office be of a help to you, or whatever the case may be? But let them lead the conversation. If they want to turn it to real estate, then you can turn it to real estate, but try to listen and try to validate, because a lot of them are just going to want to tell you, like it's been a crazy year. And one way to turn it into real estate is you go, Katie, I get it. I get it on those levels. Homeschool for me is not where it's at. I told Christian if I wanted to go back to high school, like I've already got a diploma, don't want to do it again. So I hear you. I feel your pain. But then you can say something like, well, that's what I'm hearing from a lot of my clients. And so what that translates to them is that they're not in this alone. And then the other thing is that when you say that I'm hearing that from a lot of my clients, they know that you're still actively involved in real estate, which is really what we want them to know is that, it's been a crazy year. It's a new year, but we're still on the top of our game and we're still doing the things that we need to do to be the expert and the go-to person when it comes to their real estate needs. One of the things that you can do is if you don't have their contact information, you can ask them. You can say, hey, look, I'm updating my information. Do you mind if I get your email address? And if they point out something that would be helpful to them, then if you can pinpoint that and say, well, hey, if I get some information on whatever it is they talked about, if I happen to come across some information, do you mind if I send that to you? And then they'll be more likely to give you their email address. But if you tell them you're updating their information, the other thing is you can say, look, I was looking through my database and I don't have your birthday, or whatever the case is, just find a reason to get their information. And you can do that by listening to what they're saying. So ask them for permission to continue to communicate with them. And then before you get off the phone with them, ask them, Katie, is there anything I can do for you? Are there any questions that you have that I might could answer for you? Or maybe ask them, do they have any questions for you? And then they may turn it into real estate.
Mm.
And if they say, no, I'm just really good, I'm good. And it was great to talk to you. And, but make sure when you convey to them when you're on the phone with them, is there anything I can do for you? And, it might be something simple, but if they ask you to do it, then be willing to do it, because there's a lot of people out there that they don't know how much you care until you demonstrate it to them. So, and they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So, if they say that they have something going on in their life and you can identify something that would possibly help them and you can come up with a solution to that, then be willing to do that. It may not be something that you particularly have to do. It could be, they could say, well, my kitchen sink is leaking. Okay, well, when we get off the phone, I'm see. So just make the conversation around what they talk about. It's important you're going to call them, what the call is going to be about, and then identify your outcome. What is the goal of making these calls? Is the goal to set an appointment? Is the goal to get a referral? Is the goal to just have a conversation with somebody might lead to another phone call? So I think it's just important that you gauge the conversation such that they really feel like you're coming from a place of contribution and you're not necessarily looking for business. Yes, at the end of the conversation, you can say something to the effect of, real estate is at all booming. Things are going at a faster pace than they have in history. And if you know somebody that I can help, not keep me a secret, please let me know who I can help. And so, so you're kind of subliminally setting that expectation of, hey, if you want somebody to, I really enjoyed working with you. So if you know anybody from church, school, in the family that I can help, I'd be more than happy to, and I would love the opportunity to work with them. So you just really need to focus on who you're going to call, what you're going to say, and when you're going to call them, and what kind of information you want to get, and then base a plan around that. And one thing that I know that's hard is, we all have a database right here and you can go through it. And I know it's easy to start going through and you'll go, oh, I haven't talked to them in 5 years. I'm not going to call them. Those are the people you should call first, because our drunk monkey's telling us, oh, they haven't heard from you in 5 years, Katie. They're not even going to remember who you are. Okay, well, 9 out of 10, they are going to remember who you are. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? Great to hear from you. So don't let your drunk monkey talk you out of calling those people. And if you have a lot of people in your database and you're just kind of going, well, I don't know who to call first and this and that, and so on and so forth. If you have to, break it down to segments of the alphabet. Say, I'm going to call everybody in A's. I'm going to call everybody in D's. I'm going to call everybody in F. And whoever comes up in your command, or whoever comes up in wherever you've got your data bank of people, make sure that you commit to calling those people and you don't overthink it. So that's pretty much what I had is make a plan, figure out who you're going to call, what are your scripts going to be, and then what kind of information do you want to get, make your notes, and then figure out what is going to be your next step with these people. But you have to see, you have to, what does Bold tell us? If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. And y'all, I struggle with this all the time. All the time I struggle with this. And it's if you put it on the schedule and you make a mental commitment to do that, then once you look back, you will see that, okay, yeah, like I've done it. And how long does it take to create a habit? How many days? What does Gary say, or the experts say about creating a habit?
66 days.
66 days. So plan it out. You may not want to make phone calls all week. You may decide, like I put on my calendar, I have on there from 8 to 10 tomorrow, I'm going to call 20 people. Well, one of the things that I've got on my calendar to do today is figure out who those 20 people are. And what is my script going to be? What are my affirmations around that? So it's not just diving in there and calling people. And so be really mindful of when you block that time off to be committed to doing that. And also make sure that you keep notes, because you're going to want to track your results. You know, we've done this and we did it in our ALC meeting, but we've done it in other things before. We've looked at, okay, where were we last quarter, and which last year, which quarter was the best quarters for us. And then, okay, so if November and December were your best months, what were you doing the 2 months prior to that to make that happen? Because we know most of the time stuff is 90 days out, right? So what we're working on today, we'll see come to fruition in 90 days, unless it's a listing that's, you know, relatively fairly priced, and then it's going to come to fruition in 30 days. But just take a look at those things, because you want to be able to go back and have information that's trackable, so that number one, you can know what you're doing that's effective and is worth spending your time on. And then the other things, you can weed out where your time may not be as effective, where you need to change some things around, where you need to tweak things, where you need to get better at scripts, down to where you're spending your money. You know, are you spending money on things that aren't necessarily giving you a rate of return that you necessarily would need? So figure out some kind of fluid document that you're going to have, so that this is trackable, so that a year from now you can go back and you can look and you can say, or even, you know, 90 days from now, and you can go back and say, okay, well, these phone calls were actually working. This was the script that I used, and these are the conversations that I was having, and these are the ones that were the most productive, and then plan according to that. So it's a fluid document. And then give yourself some freedom. I mean, I don't always say the right thing on the phone. None of us do. None of us are going to get it 100% of the time. However, if you have to go back and you mess up or whatever, people find you more real. So just let your personality go through there. And when you're looking at these scripts, you'll think, well, that really doesn't sound like me. I want to encourage you not to change the script. You may want to go in there and keep the main thing, but you can kind of make it sound like your personality. But at the end of the day, those scripts are proven. And so you don't want to really change them too much, because whether it really sounds like you or not, the information was created by people who have tried and tested those. So rather than reinvent the wheel, you can go off of proven techniques that other people have used. So don't talk yourself out of using these scripts because it doesn't sound like you. They don't know what you sound like anyway. So that's about what I had. Do y'all have any questions, any ahas, any thoughts?
Honestly, Katie,
Hey,
I love
Katie.
it. Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
I was just wondering how, because there are like multiple scripts on listings. So I was just wondering, how do you actually select? How do you know which ones to select? Or do you have just the 5 of them laid out in front of you?
I personally would look at your sphere of influence. And since it's basically on your sphere of influence that we're going to focus on calling, look at those that have to do with people that you've met and people that aren't necessarily in the market right now. One of the best scripts that you can use is and it just depends on the client. It depends on how recently you've talked with them. It depends on a lot of things. I think that probably starting with a care call would be my first call. But if you, if you've had a conversation with them recently, let's say it's somebody that you've done a deal with recently, you can use the script. Hey, Katie, I was just calling because I need your help. And Katie's going to go, oh, you need my help?
Of course.
And then, yeah. And so you just say, who do you know that's thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate that I can call today? Listings are really few and far between, and I'm just looking for people that I can help in this crazy market. And so who do you know from church, work, school that I can call? And she may say, oh, you know what? I don't know anybody. Katie, thank you for taking a minute to think about that. And 30 minutes from now, when you think of somebody, would you please send me a text or reach out to me and let me know their information and I'll contact them. And the reason why I would like to contact them is because I know people get busy and sometimes names and numbers get, lost in the shuffle. And so I would rather, if you give me their information, then I'll make sure that I follow up with them. That way they don't fall in the hands of a weak agent at a weak moment. So basically what I'm doing is I'm giving Katie permission because people forget things, right? And if I get that information from her on who to contact, I'm much more likely to capture that lead than if I just wait on Katie to give them my name and number. She may give them my name and number, but they may forget it. They may lose it. They may not be thinking about it at that moment. And so, but I would think about who it is that you're going to call and what the purpose of the phone call is. And that's just going to depend on who is in your sphere of influence and who you're calling.
Okay.
Well, and to past clients, people that you've worked with recently, especially you, Kathy, you've been in the business a long time. So you have a whole category, your database of past clients. They have loved working with you. They have enjoyed it. And so you could just really call to touch base and just say the same thing that she just said. I need your help. They're going to be willing to help you. And they're going to, have had, if it was a recent real estate experience, they were sharing that with their sphere, their loved ones, and their loved ones were probably commenting on, oh, I've thought about listing. They've been having those conversations and maybe not even thinking about it. Right.
Okay.
So when you call and say, who could I help? There may not be anybody right then, but there's definitely going to be somebody, and you're getting them in that pattern of referring people to you.
Okay. Sure. That's good.
And then for people that maybe don't have a large past client, start with your social media, start with your phone book, start just calling people, care, concern, common sense. When they bring up real estate, and Katie did a good job of that anchor of, a lot of my clients are saying that. You're getting them accustomed to, oh, well, how's real estate, Katie? That's going to trigger their brain to say something about real estate so that you have your real estate, elevator speech, whatever it is, you have some things ready to say when they go, oh, hey, Vicki, how's real estate? How's the real estate market? And it's just coming from cares to begin with. I think we get some limiting beliefs sometimes and going, oh, we have to know all this information. We got to be ready at a moment's notice. They might ask me a contract question. Just call asking how they're doing. You don't have to get into all that. Just ask how they're doing. Tell them you want to touch base with them.
Yeah, and I think it would be good to have do a little bit of homework and have some lenders that are available. So if they say, well, we did we actually did a forbearance, and hey, Katie, I really, I'll be praying for you and the family. And if Rob knows of anybody who has any jobs that Michael does and whatever, if I can be a resource, don't hesitate to let me know. And then just think about some of the things that if real estate does come up, one of the things that we're hearing a lot with people hesitating to put their house on the market is, well, where am I going to go? Or, well, we don't want to get caught in this whole thing of, well, we got to sell our house before we can buy another one because we want to be able to take the equity out, and we don't want that whole gap in between. And so if you have a resource and you can say, well, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, and I'll be more than happy to send their information, but Guild Mortgage and Ileana, who's worked with a lot of my clients, currently has a bridge mortgage. And you can explain to them what a bridge loan is. I had a client that they reached out to me and just sent me a Zoom thing for a birthday. And the husband was telling me the wife is thinking about, she's interviewing in other states. And I said, well, I can help you with that. And so he didn't even know what a bridge loan was, didn't know they existed. And he's like, well, I'm going to stay back for 6 months to a year. And I'm like, whoa, hold up. If you do a bridge loan, you don't have to do that. And he was like, now you got me thinking, let's have a conversation around this. So when you're calling people, just think about who you're calling and what the goal of it is. And it might be that you want to focus on those people that you've worked with in the past. And if it's people you've sold to in the last 5 years, I think it's completely reasonable to say to them, Katie, if you were out, look, are you still enjoying the house? And yeah, well, but we, really would love to have an office or whatever the case may be. Then, you can go into the whole idea of, well, the easiest way to add a room to your house is to sell and buy another one. And would you like for me to do a market analysis for you? Because you may or may not be aware that in your particular neighborhood, the values have increased, or national statistics say that real estate has increased 9% over the last, whatever it is. And that's another thing is if you have a statistic to put out there, it makes you more believable, even though a lot of statistics are made up and have, nothing to do with anything. If you throw out a statistic, then for some reason they think, oh, wow, she's the genius. She's the guru. And if you say, in your neighborhood or the National Association of Realtors or the average number of days on the market in the Montgomery area, then you're not necessarily locking yourself into their specific property. And that will give you an opportunity to say, would you like for me to run the numbers and do a market analysis on your house and tell you really what this means for you in your specific, in that particular house or in the particular area. So I think, who are you going to call, and then what conversations are you going to have based on who you're calling? Because if it's somebody that, you just met somewhere and, you go to church, you went to church with them, and because of COVID, you haven't seen them at church, well, you're not necessarily going to have that conversation with them.
All right, we got 3 minutes. Let's hear some ahas for our first Mastery Monday.
I'll go. I just, like I said, it was wonderful, Katie. And these are things not like we have not heard them before. If you've been to Ignite, you've heard these things. If you listen to Katie and Vicky, we've heard these things. So like Katie Douglas said before, we're not reinventing the wheel. If we just do what has been given to us, what has been told to us, we'll be on the right path.
A great place to start is block out your calendar, spend some time. Katie really touched on that. And that's something I think a lot of people skip over. Oh, I'll get to it. I'm one of the worst. I'm going to get to it. But if you put it in your calendar and you commit to that time, figure out who you want to talk to, figure out what you can say. If you don't know a script, you know what a great one is? Hey, Katie, how are you? Let it go from there, right? And then keep a track of who you're talking to and what the results are. The one foundational thing that you really need to jump in here and apply, other than applying this to your calendar, to your calls and your lead gen, is know your numbers. And that's not just knowing how many sales you've made in a year. Know who you're talking to, know what you're saying, be able to track that. That's going to put you on a path to success much faster than, I know Gary talks about all the time, chasing a sale. We don't want to chase a sale. We want to build a business and build relationships. All right, one more aha. Thank you, Katie Douglas. We appreciate you. We've got time for one more. We got 12 people on here. I know that there's some definite ahas. Lights going off this morning. I'll say we have 10 people because we've got some duplicates.
Okay, so can I just end with saying this?
Yes, ma'am.
Successful real estate agents don't necessarily know more than other real estate agents. They're just willing to do things that other agents are not willing to do. So just do it. Just do it.
That's right. Well, we will see you tomorrow at business meeting. We are going to go further with our lead gen script for listings. So we'll jump more into that. We're going to reach out and see if we can get Ileana to join us to talk more about that bridge loan that Katie brought up today. And we will just continue adding value. One thing we talked about, statistics. The market stats with Jay and Gary is on the 3rd, I believe at 10:30. It's on the calendar. Do not miss that. That's on KW Connect. It's not us locally. But that's going to be where you get those statistics that Katie was talking about. You're going to get a lot of great statistics and knowledge to use as you're talking about what's going on in the market. So I hope y'all have a great day. We will see you later this week. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.